Hi, third graders. We're going to start a new story today. It's called Treasure in the Trees, and it's a fiction story. And the purpose for us reading this today is to really think about point of view. We've talked about that before, but today we're going to talk about point of view and understand how we can distinguish it or see how it's different from other people's. So from the character's point of view, maybe how it's different from my point of view or from other characters in the story. So we're going to start reading this one today. And this book is written in, I think, about 6 or 7 different chapters. And we're going to learn a little bit about the characters in the story and get to know them. But while I'm reading, I want you to be thinking about this question. What kinds of things is Nisha feeling worried about? Okay, you don't know Nisha yet, but you will in a little bit. So I want you to be thinking, what kinds of things is she worried about? And I also want you to think about, how would you feel in the story compared to how Nisha feels in the story? So today I'm going to read this chapter, but I may not read them every day to you. So you'll want to make sure that you can get into your Savas or your Realize Reader account from Google Classroom so that you can actually read this as well. All right, so Treasure in the Trees. You'll see here is the table of contents with all the different chapters. And today we're going to read chapter 1, which is called The Secret. Okay, so sit back, get comfortable, focus, and listen to the story. And again, thinking about Nisha, right? And what kinds of things is she worried about? Chapter 1 is called The Secret. Nisha stood under the shelter of her tree, deep in the backyard, and looked up. She had a secret in her tree, but nobody believed the truth, except maybe her dog, Scruggs. So I'm looking. Remember, illustrations help us. Here's Nisha. Here's her dog, Scruggs. All right, she's looking up because there's a secret in there. Nisha sat down beside the gnarled tree trunk. She had a decision to make. Should she go ahead with her plan to try to tell her parents the secret again and risk their scowls of disbelief, or just give up? Think about what you would do. To be honest, it really wasn't a hard decision to make. She had to try and show her parents one last time, and then maybe somehow they would save the tree and save her secret. Nisha had tried hard to get proof, real scientific proof. She had taken photos and made written observations. She had tried to make them just like the scientific notes Dr. Robinson had shown her class in his science laboratory. Ooh, she sounds a lot to me like some other characters that we've learned about. Can you think of who that might be? Are you thinking Nell and Drake? She sounds like a scientist like them. So she's got a decision to make. Then again, Nisha's parents knew that she was really good at manipulating images on the computer. She had even once placed her grandparents' heads on the bodies of 2 giant tortoises. Look, here they are. Nisha thought it was hilarious, but her parents had banned her from using the computer for a week, except for schoolwork. So she's done something in the past that makes her not trustworthy. This time, she would have to convince her mom and dad that her proof was real. Not only would she have to present her scientific evidence, but she would also have to show them her secret. She remembered what Dr. Robinson had said to the class. Science can reveal the truth, but until people see with their own 2 eyes, they won't believe. So here is her class. Here's Dr. Robinson, her science teacher. What do you think about how she's feeling right here, remembering what she had done? I think she's feeling a little bit of regret, maybe. Maybe she's a little worried about that. The next problem was getting her parents' attention. Before they had opened the shop, Nisha's parents always had time for her. Now they were hardly ever home. We might have bitten off more than we can chew. Nisha sometimes heard her father say when he got home after a long day at the shop. Her mother always replied, "It will all be fine if we can survive until the end of the month." The months were going by, though, and things weren't getting better. So here's a picture of them. Dad's coming home. Mom's trying to be a little bit positive, and Nisha's overhearing their conversation. Nisha's dad used to love cooking meals for them, but now they had frozen dinners instead. He was always too tired to cook. Nisha's mom never had any time to go shopping with her. Nisha didn't like shopping now anyway. Thankfully, she still had her trusty spaniel, Scruggs, and of course, her secret. But tonight, Nisha would be sharing her secret, and not just with her mom and dad. The property developer would be back later. This is somebody who builds neighborhoods and buildings. When he first came to the door in September, Nisha's parents had thought he was the answer to all their problems. That was when Nisha's problems really started. And chapter 2 is called A Strange Discovery. So you'll read that tomorrow. Let's go back to what I was asking you earlier. What kinds of things is Nisha worried about? Remember? Oh, their disbelief. Her parents don't believe her, so I think she's worried about proving that there's some secret in her tree. Right? She's going to learn to give them proof. So maybe she's worried about finding that proof or sharing that proof because, look, they know that she can be a little sneaky on the computer. So maybe if she shows them a picture, they're not going to think it's real. So she might be worried about that. Right? She might be worried about the things that are happening in her family, right? Mom is saying they have to make it till the end of the month, meaning they might not have enough money. Dad used to cook all the time, and now they're eating frozen dinners, so her parents don't seem to have a lot of time anymore. They still love her, but they just don't have time because they have some kind of business or a shop that they're working on. She's still got her dog, so she's not worried about that. But she's also worried here that property developer is going to come back, and that's when all her problems really started. So I wonder, right, we know her problem here is that she's trying to prove that there's some secret in her tree. But I wonder what this property developer, somebody who wants to develop the land, has to do with it. Think about Nisha's point of view in the story, right? She's feeling certain things. Would you feel the same way or would you feel differently? Let's take a look at this chart that I made. It's a point of view chart. Right? And I wrote down this one event. Her parents are in disbelief. They don't believe, right? So she's worried about that. How do you think she feels? Think about maybe some of the expressions on her face. I'm thinking maybe she's feeling hurt that they don't believe her. Maybe she's even feeling sad that they don't believe her. I don't know about you, but I'd be mad. So if it were me, I'd be mad. I'd want to prove to them that they were wrong, that they can trust me, and that what I have to say is important and real, right? Do you remember? She said she's got to get some proof. So she's got to take some pictures or she's got to do something to provide some scientific proof so that they believe her, right? I think I would want to do the same thing, right? If somebody didn't believe me, I'd want to prove to them that they could, right? There's some secret in her tree she's trying to explain. I kind of feel like Nisha and myself would be feeling pretty determined because I'd want to prove to them that they were wrong for not believing me. So I'm going to write down here that we're both feeling determined, right? She's hurt and sad. You can see that. I'd be mad. I probably would be hurt and sad too, but it would make me really mad. So thinking about point of view, right? We can think that characters in a story have different perspective, we like to call that, different points of view. So reading today, we're kind of distinguishing our own point of view from that of the narrator or maybe other characters in the story. Tomorrow, we'll be reading the next chapter of Treasure in the Trees.